What's up, everybody? It's Pikel, and welcome back to another free edition of the Infinity Edge podcast, brought to you by the esports department.com. Com? Com. Com?
Who can say?
Yeah, it's unknown. It's a mystery, the eighth wonder of the world.
All I know
If you
about
use
is
what?
Netscapes and web zones and yeah, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, the internet. So if you want to help support the podcast, make sure to use the code IEDGE, IEDGE, for 10% off your subscription to the esportsdepartment.com. For those of you who are waiting for me to sing Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baja Men, that's not happening today, but it will happen very soon. I went to start recording it today. I saw that my Adobe Premiere was blacked out and it said try/buy, and I'm like, nope, I already have that. I don't need to do that. And apparently, I don't have Adobe anymore because I haven't been making chopped up videos with like editing recently. So that lapsed. So I need to get that so that I don't have to say who let the dogs out 700 times. I can just do it once and then repeat it a couple times. That's ultimately what I need. I'm sure there's some other way I'm not thinking of that I could do it, but it hasn't been done yet. Busy with work, and it's really hot outside, and I've been playing golf. I actually played really well on Sunday and Monday because I'm the best.
What?
But we don't
thank
need to talk about golf anymore. I know Ghost is upset about his DraftKings lineup for the Open. Um, so, boys, anything that you'd like to add? Ghost and the Half, Alan 1, Alan 2, Otto's dad, and Ghost. Anything you guys want to talk about before we get into the games?
Throwing shade at me and my free golf lineup while you're sitting there holding out on the song, Adobe. Yeah, that was the problem.
hmm yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm good because I was sitting here on pins and needles wondering how you golfed this weekend. So I got that info, so we're good to go.
Took the driver out of the bag, 5 iron off the box every single time. Shot a 42 on the front, or 41 on the front. Pretty good. Pretty good for me.
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, that would be very good for me.
Those are all just words and numbers to me. So, hopping into the stuff you're all here to see, Misfits versus XL. Misfits 7-4, XL 4-7. I assume this is Misfits all the way because XL seem like they want to show up one week and not the other. Michael, start with you on this one. What are you doing with this matchup?
Yeah, so I think that there are still some people who are going to like to play XL at this number since they're right around um the addition of Mark Kuhn and Adrian makes people want to believe in them, I guess, and they're one of the dogs that make more sense on this slate. It seems like a favorite heavy kind of day for DFS, but I'm on Misfits only. Um, so obviously there's not much to say about that. What I will say is that you can make some interesting Misfits and Rogue lineups. Specifically, there's one team that you can do a 4-3 with um, Kabe as your captain with Rogue, which generally shouldn't happen. So that one's going to be maybe pretty popular, but if you want to run out an interesting cash lineup, I think that'd be really good for smaller field GPPs and for your cash lineups. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably like 6 double jungle spots um, that are looking pretty good as well. Um, that's specifically with Misfits and Rogue. Seems like a good spot to get both of them. Fnatic, you can't get many spots. You have to do double jungle. With G2, you have a decent selection of lineups to combine those, probably around 20. So that's basically it. I think Misfits is a team that you should definitely consider for DFS tomorrow. This is not we don't know who this XL is in losses. Like we have a couple games, but we've never seen Mark Kuhn and Advian tilt off the face of the earth and have like 10 deaths in a game yet, I don't think. So we'll see if that happens this weekend.
All right, we'll throw it over to you, Alan, on this one. Misfits versus XL. What are you doing with this matchup?
I love the Misfits, but the line on this game is wacko. Misfits is minus 260 against this Excel team that has beat some pretty good teams. Uh, let's see, what do I have that? Minus 260 is Yeah, 72%. I just can't get quite to that level with Misfits. I think that this game's probably closer to a 60-40, which makes it, as Michael was saying, a kind of interesting spot to play Excel as well as Misfits for me. I think that Misfits is probably a team you really want to be against in a DraftKings matchup. The esports department projections agree with me on that. I believe that Patrick was maybe the top projected player on the slate. Let me see. Yeah, he was. So Patrick's the top projected player on the slate for the esports department. I think that makes a lot of sense. Misfits is going to fight when they are behind. And so I think you can get away with playing both sides here. Maybe Excel is more popular than I want them to be, but I still think that they probably have a pretty decent shot at beating Misfits in this game. I think Misfits is good, not great, sadly. Their gold spent percentage differential has them as like the 5th best team in the league, despite their record having them like 2nd or whatever it is, and 5th feels a little bit more right to me, and Excel has beat teams that I think might be better than Misfits already, so I would play it. I think I'm playing both sides here.
All right. Moving on to our second game of the slate. We have SK 2-9 versus Mad Lions 7-4. To me, this one seems pretty cut and dry. Mad Lions should win this one. Maybe they might win it a little too fast to be good scoring, but we'll throw it over to you, Alan. What are you doing with Mad Lions versus SK Gaming?
I believe this is the 3rd game of the slate, but that doesn't really matter. We can go back to the other one. But Mad Lions against SK. Mad Lions is a really good team. SK is the worst team in the league. Just play Mad Lions only. I don't think much else needs to be said.
All right, Michael, we'll throw it over to you. SK versus Mad Lions.
I do agree with that. The problem is you can't get many good combinations with Mad Lions as your primary stack, so you have to look for those interesting other spots. I think that Mad Lions plus Vitality will probably get popular tomorrow as a play off of G2. Maybe you see some people want to play Astralis. Maybe some people play Excel. I think this might be a day that you see some surprising ownership on underdogs because they want to play Mad Lions so bad. I think the better option is probably to do that like 3-4 build where you get 2 players and a team slot from a different team and then get 4 players from Mad Lions and try to fit it in that way. You could also go to top lane captains or support captains, but I think that I would prefer the like 3-4s more, using Mad Lions as a large secondary stack, like an oversized secondary stack. That's basically it. I think I can't tell people to play SK Gaming when they got rid of tanks. Just impossible.
Right.
Yeah. The Excel Mad Lions lineups are pretty strong looking if you believe in Excel to beat Misfits.
And the Vitality ones, you're going to be able to basically do every one with Vitality that you want. Like all those are going to line up well.
All right. We'll move on to the second game of the slate, which Leaguepedia had listed 3rd. We have Schalke 04 3-8 versus Rogue 8-3. Michael said that Rogue would be a good pairing with Misfits if you believe in the Misfits. So we'll start with you, Michael, on this one. Give us the case for Rogue.
Well, Schalke will not be an organization next year, and Rogue will be an organization next year. That seems pretty good to me. I just, I don't want to play teams against Rogue, just in general. Even if they win, it's not the best fantasy spot. So the fact that they're already very low, they already have a low % chance to win, then you're telling me that they have like a large chunk of their wins end up not even being relevant anyways. That kind of sucks. Last week they lost both of their matches because they're Schalke. I don't remember the last time they had a win. They won 4 games ago. And that was a win over Fnatic, so that's okay. But I think stylistically, I think Schalke and Rogue are too similar to give Rogue problems. I think they know what they should be expecting. You can't play Rogue with Mad Lions, with any of the normal captains. You can play Rogue with Fnatic. Is that right? With Jungle Captain? I'd have to double check that. My sheet might be off because that seems pretty surprising to me. You can get the same Rogue primary stack with Misfits. There's probably some that are very close to working if you mess around with who your captain is, and then you can get Rogue G2. So that's another good spot to look at.
All right. Anything else you guys would like to add to this one?
Nope, skip me. Rogue versus Schalke is like the easiest game of all time. Just play Rogue as mostly secondary stacks would be the way that I would look at it.
Yeah, like
All
the
right.
team slot you don't have to feel like you don't ever have to feel bad about with Rogue, but when you get their players involved, it's like you do run the risk of having them win and it's not good enough. Like it just feels like that happens more often than with a lot of other good teams
Yeah.
because of their style.
So no one's going with the narrative of these players want to fight for their jobs, huh?
Who,
No.
Schalke?
I mean, yeah, they're gonna have to. There's gonna be another team. They have to show that they're worthy.
They're probably gonna most of these guys are probably gonna get subsumed by the team that buys them because generally the people buying these teams have no idea what's going on. So like Broken Blade is good enough, he'll get picked up again. Neon has looked okay, he'll get picked up again. Limit has looked okay in the past, he'll definitely be on a team. Maybe they get rid of Kire, and then I don't know about Nuclear Int, but I think whoever buys them is just gonna be like, whatever. Year one we're allowed to suck.
I think
So
it's already decided who's buying them, right? It's like this team called BDS, so there may be a there may be a different sort of trial period for playing on a team called BDS.
And maybe they might. Do they have a roster in some other league already, or is this
No,
going to be their first venture?
I don't think so. I think they're just bringing the Schalke team.
Yeah, probably.
All right, we'll move on to our fourth game of the slate. We have Fnatic at 8-3 versus Astralis 5-6. Alan, we'll start with you on this one. Will the dogs be barking? Will Astralis take down Yamato Cannon and Fnatic?
No, I think the dogs are not getting out on this slate at all.
Bold words.
I really like Fnatic in this spot. I've already talked about how I think Fnatic's the best team in the league. It's still weird that they have 3 losses to me because they have like a 10% gold spent percentage differential, which is usually like an undefeated team, like Damwon last year or something like that, and they have 3 losses because sometimes they do randomly lose games. So if you want to play that narrative, you could play Astralis. I would like that if you're going to do that to take some of the ownership off of Fnatic for me. I would just play all the Fnatic here. I really like the looks of Fnatic and XL. I could even be convinced to play like look for some 4-2-1 stuff with Fnatic other favorites. Maybe even Fnatic Vitality. I think it's a really good Fnatic spot. Astralis is a good team to be against. I don't want to play Astralis, but I think that there will be some people who do just because of that narrative I was talking about, that Fnatic kind of can lose to anyone at any time.
All right, sounds good. We'll throw it over to you, Michael, on this one. Will you be one of those people locking in Astralis against Fnatic?
I don't think so. Fnatic beat XL and Vitality last week. Pretty bloody game against Vitality. Also, relatively bloody game against XL. Did Astralis beat Fnatic earlier this year?
Good
Were they
question.
one of the? Let me just check that real quick because the way that I look at it is like the best time for underdogs to win is when they are a different style.
Fnatic won the first meeting.
Okay. So what I was going to say is the style when teams are like different stylistically from one another, like if one is more of a macro oriented team that scales and the other one is more of a team fighting team or a bloody early game team, then you have that different approach to the game allows for more opportunities the underdog can like kind of go after to try to win the game. Astralis is an underdog who is bloody. Fnatic is used to that, so you can't drag Fnatic down into the depths of a bloody match because that's where they were born and raised. So it's kind of a Bane situation. That's actually exactly what it is. This is a Bane situation, a Lich Bane situation, where Fnatic could we get an extremely bloody match where Astralis ends up beating them in like a coin flip early game fight and then ends up winning the game? Yes. Would that be a bloody game? Yes. Is that a good enough reason to do it? If you're playing a bunch of lineups, yes. Am I going to do that? Probably not. And I think that a big part of the reason is because we've had so many dogs win recently with like these outlier DFS performances that I think you're probably better off not chasing that and just trying to get these like high percent chance of both teams winning with your double favorites and the types of lineup constructions that aren't generally popular. I think that's probably the better way to play it for DraftKings in these contests tomorrow. And then right when the favorites dominate for like an entire weekend, then you can start bringing the underdogs back in. But just based off of what I've seen so far, I think that Vitality is the only underdog I could really almost convince myself to play a decent chunk of. But even in that spot, I think I'd rather just try to fade the dogs tomorrow. Hope that one of them isn't the highest scoring team on the slate, and salvage my money if I'm wrong about my two teams.
All right. And in that first meeting, Fnatic did have red side, Astralis on blue. So assuming it'll be flipped, Fnatic will be on blue, Astralis on red side for tomorrow's match. We'll hop into our last and final for Friday. Two very close, good teams in the standings. We have Vitality 5 and 6 versus G2 6 and 5. Michael, how many crown shot captain lineups am I making tomorrow?
I think it's just generally, people are not happy with G2 right now, and that's my favorite time to support G2. They won both of their games last week, but for DFS purposes, they weren't big enough wins, so people probably feel really bad about G2 from that perspective as well. Because outside of like I guess it's really similar when you have a quote unquote underperforming team like G2. Even when they win, if they don't win and like win every DFS contest, everyone's gonna feel like they should have done better, which is unrealistic. Like their job is not to go out and win in a bloody fashion. Their job is to win. And coming off of their 2 losses the week before, they're just focused on winning. A team like Vitality isn't the kind of team they're going to take lightly either. So I think you're going to get probably the best version of G2. I think that Vitality has the talent to beat them even when they're like completely focused. But like I don't think I'm going to be playing enough lineups tomorrow where I go all the way to Vitality, because when in a slate where Vitality is relevant, it means that you probably had a lot of other favorites win their match. Vitality wins their match. Every single lineup combination is going to work with Vitality and Mad Lions, Vitality and Rogue, Vitality and Fnatic. So if Vitality is one of those top 2 teams and all of these generic lineup constructions are going to be like valid tomorrow, then I'm not gonna win, because I'm not going to. I'm trying not to build lineups that are going to chop first place 20 ways or 40 ways or 80 ways. Like I want to try to chase those unique lineups as much as I can. So I think that this is a good spot to stay away from Vitality, even though they have a realistic chance to win. And when you beat G2, you generally do pretty well.
All right. We'll move it over to you, Alan. Wrap us up here. Vitality 5 and 6 versus G2 6 and 5. What are you doing with this matchup?
I think I agree generally with what Michael was saying. I think it's like a better spot for Vitality to win the game than probably like the betting line says. But I don't think it's a really great sort of DraftKings spot, because I'm looking at the slate and like the stuff that you can make with Vitality makes me think that they like crown shot is probably 12% or above would be my guess tomorrow. And then their mid laner jungler probably right around 10% as well, which I think it's is pretty large for this slate, where we have Fnatic against Astralis. We have the Misfits-XL game that I think is pretty good. I think Mad Lions is always pretty good. And so I think for me, it gets pretty hard to get down to Vitality because of that ownership there. As far as the game goes, I mean, I don't have anything new to say. I think that like G2 beating Rogue last week was a pretty good sign to me. Now they could just go back and like lose their next game, because that's how this season seems to go for them. But I thought that they played really well in that game, and kind of shored up some of the trust issues I might have had this week with them. So I would probably just all in G2 from this game. I would probably play G2 at like a 20% clip, and combine them with Excel, Misfits, Mad, Fnatic, probably a little bit of Rogue as well, and hope that that's enough that I get away from the field on them. I would guess that G2 probably ends up right around 20-ish% on the slate as well, because I think the game is. I think most people will expect this game to be pretty bloody, even though G2 hasn't been that way for a couple weeks now.
All right, sounds good. Are you guys ready to move into the LCS?
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
The League of the Dogs. Let's get into it. We have two very close, good teams once again, like Vitality and G2. We have the Immortals 8-10 versus Cloud9 9-9. Very fitting for the summer split. Alan, we'll start with you on this one. Immortals versus Cloud9. Who are you taking?
Ooh, this is a real match of the shit list. Didn't we play both of these teams last week and they both lost? Was that our lineup, or did Cloud9 win? I can't quite remember. On Sunday, I believe. Yes, so Evil Geniuses
I don't
won.
think we played Immortals.
No, we played Immortals. Against.
Oh God, whose idea was that?
We played Immortals against FlyQuest, which was doomed us, and then we also played Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses. So I have adjusted. I legitimately just think that Evil Geniuses is better than Cloud9 at this point. Like, there are two teams that I trust in the LCS, like, even a little bit. And it's 100 Thieves and it's Evil Geniuses. And that's it. The rest of the teams, I could see them lose to anyone at any time, any place, any game. If they broke out the dominoes or something, I would pick the dog. So I think that this is a fine spot to play both teams. I'm kind of throwing my hands up at the LCS at this point. I think for me, the way that I would approach this slate is I'm probably just gonna try and play like a lot of double dog lineups, and hope that one of those is the winning combination, because I'm kind of done with the LCS favorites, and I'm sure that that's how everyone feels, and it's for good reason. Every time you play or bet on an LCS favorite, they fucking lose. So I'll probably just play Immortals and take my risks there. I don't know what Cloud9's deal is. They lose to the shittiest teams sometimes, and Immortals is not quite the shittiest team. So give me Immortals.
Well, I cannot contractually back Cloud9 until Perks loses the hat or shaves his head, like I said on the last show. So I'll throw it over to you, Michael. Immortals versus Cloud9. Will you be taking Cloud9, or are you going dogs with Immortals?
Yeah, I'll take C9. Basically, I think the opposite of what Alan said.
Good. Disagree.
This is classic. This is classic overreaction season. Give Alan an award. He doesn't believe anything he just said. The hef is shilling for the dogs. He is under contract with the Baja Men for their cover that's coming out.
Yippee-I-O, baby.
Yeah, yippee-I-O, exactly. The reality of the situation, and I don't want to be too graphic with my comparisons here. I'm just gonna say some words, and you let me know what you think about the matchups. Fudge, Revenge. How do you feel so far? I'm gonna assume not good.
Toss
Okay,
up.
let's try again. Try again. Blabber, Xerxes.
Here's the problem with this.
Will Blabber be trying to take Scuttle Crabs?
Exactly.
Yes.
Here's the problem
Yes,
with
he will.
Here's the problem with this. It's like C9 obviously has a way more talented lineup. However, they will just do the dumbest shit available in games all the time. And until I see them not do that, I'm down to play anybody against them.
Well, you will never not see that, so you will always play the team against C9 then, which is that's not how I roll.
Yeah,
The
fair
last
enough.
time C9 played against Immortals, C9 won 12-5. So maybe you can make the argument that C9, even in a win against Immortals, doesn't have big upside, but I think that they do because they always do. Like it's there. That's just there's stylistically that's just how they play. I know that Immortals has Dardoch, who is the best assistant coach in the LCS right now.
Let's
But
go.
it's not going to make me go against C9. Perks and Insanity, Sven or Raze, and then maybe a lot of people would say that one's close. And then Vulcan against Destiny. Vulcan is the best or second best support player in the region. So this like people who have seen my videos for the past year and a half. When G2 is driving everyone insane, you keep playing G2. When C9 is driving everyone insane, you keep playing C9. That's just the way you have to do it. You can't give up on these guys because then you're like playing whack-a-mole where you're continuously changing which hole you're focused on, when in reality you gotta be focused on all the holes. You learned that here.
That's for BDS, dude.
Yeah, yeah, true.
You're thinking of the wrong team.
Yeah, true. But yeah, you gotta play C9. There's no other way to play this game. I think they're still extremely expensive, which is going to depress ownership. Actually, they're not extremely expensive. Blabber's extremely expensive, but they're cheap. So they're cheap. People hate them right now for the reasons that Alan said, and that's why I love them. So onward.
Why are they so cheap? that kind of that was alarming. I didn't really realize that they were quite this cheap. Whatever. That means way more people are gonna play them. Give me Immortals.
Yeah, it makes your spot better if you think it makes your position better and my position worse. The fact that they're, priced out so weird.
All right. I like it when you guys disagree. Hopping over to our second match for Friday in the LCS, we have FlyQuest 6-12 on the summer split versus TSM 12-6. Michael, will you be shouting the three letters TSM while you watch this game?
No, I will not. But I will pick them to win. I think that they are the better team. Obviously, the fact that FlyQuest has been playing well with their academy roster, good for you. Like that's nice. It's not going to make me pick them over TSM, who I still think is one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the region. Let's go over some of these scoreboards. So FlyQuest beat C9 27-25. Triple had a good match. Overall, it was a solid draft from them. They beat CLG 20-8, which again they had Gwen, Viego, which are both good champions. They played Jhin, so it's a miracle that they won that one. And then they won 15-9 against Immortals. They pulled out Blitzcrank. So they are doing some interesting stuff with the draft. And if TSM loses, it's going to be because TSM drafts poorly again. And that's always a huge concern for me. That's why I would limit my TSM exposure, but that's not why I would play FlyQuest. I think that if TSM is losing to FlyQuest, it's not going to be a hyper bloody match. I think TSM will probably want to drag this out into the late game and play around a relatively easy to project point in the game, assuming they don't throw the early game super hard. So this is the kind of game where I think the spot is going to make TSM play pretty reserved, play for the scaling, and I think they have the higher upside from a DFS perspective. Because if you're TSM and you're supposed to win this match and you get punched in the face in the first 5 minutes of the game, are you going to continuously throw yourselves at FlyQuest trying to salvage a victory, or are you going to wait let FlyQuest make a mistake or two, and then come back. I think that's the better play if you're TSM.
All right, we'll throw it over to you, Alan. FlyQuest versus TSM. What are you doing with this matchup?
I want to bring you back to an important day, July 9th, 2021. Last game of the slate, TSM against CLG, who in their back rooms, their coaches are telling them they all fucking suck and they're going to be fired tomorrow. And they're
I
recording.
didn't see that video. Is that video still out?
No, they got rid of it because they got so much shit for it. It was like a 1-minute video where the coach is like, hey, you're all fired, or maybe, so, go out there and play like it's your last game. I was like, Jesus.
Play like you'll never see the game again, boys.
And, they go into that game, and CLG wins 25-12. It just completely smashes the slate. So, once again, and TSM, let's see this composition they have here. Huni, Renekton, Power of Evil, Lee Sin, Lost, Kaisa, Sword Art, Alistar, Spica, Rumble. At 20 minutes into the game, I'm pretty sure that they just heal enemy champions with this composition. So, I'm done also with TSM. Fuck them. I'm out. I'm so tired of these LCS teams that just lose. So I'll play FlyQuest. I like FlyQuest and Immortals. I think that that's a great lineup tomorrow. You can thank me when that wins the DraftKings GPP because I can't play DraftKings. They don't like to take my money anymore. So yeah, I would play some FlyQuest. I would mix them with Immortals, and I'd mix them with 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses, who are the only two trustworthy teams in the LCS.
Very interesting position. All right. TSM hater. I like it.
Absolutely.
Moving on to our third matchup of the slate. We have Dignitas 7-11 versus 100 Thieves 14-4 for the summer. Alan, you said 100 Thieves is the only favorite you still trust in the league next to Evil Geniuses. I assume it's 100 Thieves all the way?
Yes. Now we're to the LEC portion of the show where I tell you 100 Thieves is a very good team. Dignitas is a very bad team. You should play 100 Thieves and only 100 Thieves. I would mostly personally play 100 Thieves with dogs. I don't really like the matchup that much against Dignitas, and I don't really like the combinations of favorites that you can get them with. Maybe you could probably get some interesting stuff with Cloud9, but as mentioned before, fuck C9. So I'm out on that construction. That's also if there is a good one, like a Perks Captain or something like that. My cat just bit me, so I have to let him out the door. If there is a good construction like that, it is going to be the most popular one on the slate by far. So that also makes me not that interested in it. So 100 Thieves and Dogs for me. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Can we take anything from that? The cat biting you? Is that a lean somewhere?
Yeah, I think he was like, you should just play the Cloud9 100 Thieves lineup that everyone else is going to play and try and maybe mix it into some 4-2-1s.
Let me check this 1 sec, sorry.
Is he's just taking a phone call right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Dignitas. Well, if you had to give Dignitas the devil's advocate here, how do they win this match? If it's going to be a dog day,
100 Thieves is like, we got a sub in the amateur team. They've been playing really well behind the scenes. We got to give Kenby a little, give him his come ups. Is he even 18 yet? I don't even know. Maybe they. Oh, that's how it happens. They have to forfeit because Kenby's actually 17 and not allowed to play in the league, but they brought him up anyway. No, I couldn't tell you how Dignitas wins this game. Maybe Acadian plays like a really gank heavy, unexpected jungler, and they camp someday, who has been pretty bad for 100 Thieves standards so far this split. That's the only take I can give on Dignitas winning. We could probably just go to the next game while Michael, conducts his business. He's a very important businessman.
I'm sure
Sorry.
he'd pick 100 Thieves anyway.
Sorry about that. All right. So, what I was going to say is 100 Thieves obviously is the right side. I disagree with playing them with dogs though, because there are a lot of good Abadage captain lineups, I think, and also a decent chunk of closer lineups with other favorites. So I would look at those before I start looking at the dogs, unless there's like a great dog spot. The reason is because when people start putting, maybe less so for the people using optimizers as their primary way to build lineups. But like when FBI is your captain, a lot of lineup constructions are not going to work. But when you make Abadage your captain, there's a lot that will work. So I think that's probably the better way to do it. You might even want to run out some lineups that fade FBI but have the other 4 players from 100 Thieves. That might be, the best way to be contrarian tomorrow.
Interesting.
All right.
I'm
Is that all you got for? Go ahead.
I'm looking at a beautiful FBI captain lineup with FlyQuest, and you get triple in there, and I have BDS feelings.
FlyQuest are going to
Why
work
is
after
BDS
last-
such a thing with you? I don't understand what's happening right now.
BDS.
Is it BDS like the dungeon sex?
It's BDSM.
I thought he was going for something else the entire time as well. So,
Well, that was
since we're off the rails, I was like, big dick syndrome. Is that what you're going with here?
let's just go back and edit all of the BDS stuff that I did.
Let's not.
God, we know what Alan gets into now. This is sweet.
Clearly, because I didn't even know the last letter. So there we go.
Oh, this is the free show too. I'm gonna tweet the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
Moving on to the 4th match for Friday, we have Team Liquid versus the very dysfunctional CLG. Team Liquid 10-8 on the summer, CLG 5-13. Michael, who are we seeing in this matchup? Will all of CLG be out of a job after Team Liquid beats them? What's gonna happen?
I think that CLG is one of the only 2 dogs that I would seriously consider playing, and I don't even like it that much. So I think I would just stick with the Team Liquid side. I don't know who's starting in top lane for them, but if you know that information going into it, I would bet money that the lowest owned position on Team Liquid is top lane. So if you're going to make primary stacks, you probably want to incorporate them if you can. Maybe even throw in a top captain with Team Liquid. CLG should be a good spot for Team Liquid to score a lot. So I like Team Liquid a lot here. That's basically it. I think it's just a play all the favorites kind of slate for me. Like I understand if you want to try to get some different kind of underdog lineups in there, then fine. But I think that everyone's going to start zagging onto like playing heavy dogs, and I think I'm still going to stick with mostly favorites.
Oh, Michael is zigging while everyone's zagging. If you haven't seen the news and you are watching the free episode, CLG will be starting mid laner Damonte that they picked up. It will not be Paul Belter, so don't have him in your lineups if he's even in the player pool. We'll throw it over to you, Alan. Team Liquid 10-8 versus CLG 5-13. What are you doing with this matchup?
All right, here we go. Damonte's playing in the game. First question I have: is TF a champion that's available to be played? The answer.
Is it Tanner time?
The answer: yes. Is he playing with a jungler that I think is kind of good and can invade and can overload side lanes with him? The answer to that: also yes. I'm interested in CLG. I don't like Team Liquid. I never liked Team Liquid as favorites. It's probably one of the better spots because CLG with Tanner time is probably a pretty aggressive team that's going to skirmish heavy. I could certainly see Team Liquid being higher scoring than typical, but for me, I told you the two teams I trust: 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses as favorites, and I'm mixing the dogs with those two, and I'm mixing the dogs with each other. CLG is included in those dogs. I don't have any statistics to back this up. CLG is horrible statistically so far this split. This is all because Tanner Time is coming in. He's going to play TF, and they're going to just gank the shit out of Alfari, and he's going to scream at his teammates, and CLG is getting 25 kills again.
Ooh, big bold prediction.
Um,
All right.
So before we move off of that,
Sure.
I forgot about the whole Tanner thing, but I do think that Demonte is in a pretty good spot in this meta. I think that when CLG was trying out their other kinds of compositions with like Vi and stuff like that, I think that Pobelter, while he had some good performances, that's not really his go-to playstyle. He's more of a control mage player and like an Azir player, where it's more for late game. I think that, Galio, Lissandra, Twisted Fate, Ziggs are all pretty good champions for him. And I think that I don't love Twisted Fate or Echo for DFS purposes. I think that would kind of depress the upside of the match, but there are some good spots for CLG and Demonte if they get like a Galio game, which I think is very, very possible.
Is it?
What
don't you like about the Echo Twisted Fate? I mean, I have a feeling I know it. It's tends towards like a 1-3-1, but I just want you to explain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly the split pushing situation. Like it instills fear in the other team, and they're like, "Well, I can't really leave this tower because if I leave this tower, I'm gonna die," and it just slows everything down a little bit. Which there are games where echoes go off, but it really requires like a lot of low percentage stuff to happen for you. Like you have to have the echo in an advantageous lane setup where he's like pushing down top lane, dragons coming up, have a good TP ward, come in and land a nice W and then do it that way. Echo is not a super popular champion right now, anyways. Demonte doesn't strike me as like a great Sylas player. Doesn't strike me as a great Akali player, even though he may have played it and won a game on it. But I just don't think of Demonte as a difference maker. Demonte depends on other players on their team carrying the load. And I think that Broxa is capable of doing that. I think that Finn is capable of doing that. Are they capable of doing it against Team Liquid? Yes, but less so.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my concern. Like I want to be on CLG. Like hopefully there's another game this weekend where you can kind of play into that narrative. Like hopefully they come out crash and burn on in their match tomorrow and then get low ownership in their following match. I think that's where I'm looking for CLG.
I just like, how do they not sub the bot lane? Like if you're gonna humiliate your team like that, like a sub Smoothie and Wild Turtle, they've been the problem for a long time. But
I think the one thing I would say is I know that I've been negative towards Smoothie in the past, but you have like when you have somebody like Wild Turtle on your team, you cannot blame the support. You really can't. The guy just is oblivious. I don't know what it is. I don't have any explanation for it. Just the things, whether maybe it's horrible luck that he always finds himself in these insane situations, but maybe, just maybe, he is the reason that he's in those positions.
I think we're in agreement.
Right. Moving on to our fifth and final match for Friday, we have the Golden Guardians 7-11 with their new star top laner Licorice, undefeated as a Golden Guardian, versus Evil Geniuses 12-6, the only team Alan believes in anymore. This is where I wish the kind of WWE, UFC shit talk narrative would happen in LCS. Because if you didn't see it, EG's coach was pretty pissed off that Danny didn't get Player of the Week or whatever award they give out because it went to Licorice. So this being the first match on Friday sets up pretty good for some narrative. So we'll throw it over to you, Alan. You said you only believe in Evil Geniuses. Will you still take him here?
Yep. I think I made that pretty clear already. Evil Genius is, let's see, on the last patch, I had it up and now, of course, I don't. On this patch, they have a 12% GSPD and are 6-0. That's not a bad sample size. Like 6 games is usually when I start to go, all right, I have an idea who these teams are in the season. So they're really good, I think. Could they turn into a pumpkin again? Could Jizuke feed his ass off again? Sure. Is that going to happen against Golden Guardians and a Blaze Olive? I have my doubts. And I think that people liked what they saw from Golden Guardians yesterday. They liked to play against Evil Geniuses, especially when the narrative is really good on Evil Geniuses, because that's when they seem to always fail. They're kind of like the misfits of the LCS. So I would estimate that there's some ownership on the dog here, and that's why I would basically all in Evil Geniuses. Like, I could see my lineups probably being upwards of like 40 to 50% Evil Geniuses tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. I will correct myself on that one. Golden Guardians did lose the TSM last weekend. My bad on that. So we'll throw it over to you, Michael. Golden Guardians versus Evil Geniuses. Who do you got here?
So first, I want to say that I think that Evil Geniuses, I think that Danny is like the kind of transformative player who will be a championship building block for multiple years. This is what North America needs. You need random 17-year-olds to be insanely good at League of Legends, put a team around them of, experienced players that can get them fed or like keep the game even until the 20-minute mark, and then, let the 17-year-old shine. It sounds insane maybe to some people who, are just learning about League for the past year or so. But around the world, when you get players of this caliber where they are just, much better than the older players in their region, it's a game changer. And I think that it'll force a lot of teams to hopefully, chase that young upside, which every other region does, like except for not every region. China does specifically.
Yeah.
And that's why China's the best right now. So I love Evil Geniuses. I love Danny. I love Ignar. 2 very good players. I think that the jungle situation for Evil Geniuses is not good right now. I think that Impact is definitely, on the other half of his career, but still definitely good enough to compete in North America, either like as a weak side top laner or even sometimes as a top laner that can punish a lazy draft. But Jizuke is going to hold this team back with like his wild turtle-esque plays that he has every once in a while. So in a best of one situation, I think I like Golden Guardians here a decent amount. I think that Golden Guardians and CLG are the 2 underdogs I'd be interested in playing tomorrow. With Golden Guardians, the thing that I loved about their drafts from last week is against Team Liquid, they had Renekton, which, can be good, can be bad, forces you to play aggressive in the early game. They had Diana, which is just a very strong champion overall. Then they had Kalista and Ziggs. So I'm not a huge Kalista fan. I'm not a huge Ziggs fan. But when Team Liquid locks in Viego early, and you can get Viego against Renekton, force him to go mid lane, and then get Kalista into Viego, you're going to get punished. So the fact that they understood how to move the champions around during their draft shows a decent amount of intelligence, like with the coaching staff. And I mean, Inero's an okay coach, not the best coach in the world, but that's fine. Good enough to carve out advantages against a lazy draft. Against TSM, I know that Golden Guardians lost that match, but they should have won that match. TSM's draft there was so predictable. I think they ran it back-to-back games, basically, and they didn't have a good way to kind of abuse it. And then, obviously, in their first match, the first game that they had with Licorice, they beat 100 Thieves, which is a nice win. So I think that Golden Guardians just beat 2 teams that are better than Evil Geniuses. Long-term talent-wise, like maybe you can make the argument that right now Evil Geniuses is better than Team Liquid, but for the next a month from now, are we going to be saying that? I highly doubt it. Unless Danny just continues like this upward trajectory, which is possible, and I hope it does happen. I hope that Evil Geniuses ends up being like dominant for multiple years with Danny as their captain. That'd be really cool to watch because I think that they could maybe put together some kind of really strong lineup that'll be the best in the West kind of thing. But I do like a Blaze Olive. I think that there's a lot of good spots for them against Jizuke. I think that they can exploit them in lane 2, which not a lot of mid laners are willing to do. Stixay and Chime, they have chances to win that lane against Danny, not because like Danny's going to make some gigantic mistakes or Ignar's going to make some gigantic mistakes, but in draft, if they're not careful, you can easily get into a spot where Golden Guardians just gets an easy to play team composition, has a stronger early game, and then Evil Geniuses is stuck in a like let's not lose the game early kind of spot. And then I think Licorice is capable of beating Impact in the laning phase as well. So this isn't a traditional dog spot. I think that it's a lot closer to 50-50 probably than most would think. And for that reason, they are my favorite underdog tomorrow, followed by CLG. And then, I would be very interested in playing them if I had to. Because they're in these high scoring games. Like, if you want to play both sides of Evil Geniuses Golden Guardian, go ahead. I think that's totally reasonable tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
I just want to point out that Michael said that Stixay and Chimes could win the lane against Danny and Ignar. That stuck out to me.
So the way the drafts are playing out right now, if you're Evil Geniuses and you think that you're gonna win the late game against Golden Guardians no matter what, and you play something like a Felios or Kog'Maw and you just get late in the draft, then you get slapped in the face with a Varus or something like that. Like, I know that there's a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, like, Varus, Callista, super greedy picks, whatever. If the other team drafts into a late game situation and you can so there's two ways. Either it's a response pick to a late game pick, or you pick it so that the other team cannot pick a Felios or cannot pick Kog'Maw. Because then you're kind of forced into like a Varus versus Callista matchup, Varus versus like Kaisa, which it beats. I'm not sure how Varus does against Samira. I would assume that Samira wins that because like Varus can't punish them hard enough with like poke because of her like projectile remover. But that's a game take. That's not a like talent take,
I hear you. I got you. I think it's just like big enough talent discrepancy for me that even if it was like Callista, Leona against Thresh, Aphelios, I'm still taking Danny and Ignar.
Well, sure, but I mean, we've seen Golden Guardians do it twice already last week, where it's not like Stixay carried the entire game, but you're getting into these laning phases with leaving laning phase with gold leads. So if they can do it against 100 Thieves, if they can do it against Team Liquid, they can do it against Evil Geniuses.
Fair enough.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully people listen to Michael's advice on that one. If you're 16, 17 years old, grind that shit out.
No. If you're 14 or 15 years old and for some reason you're watching a DraftKings show about League of Legends because you have some degen parents who need you to like filter through the information, then whatever, that's fine. But make sure you get your league reps in, because if you want to be a professional, you probably should have started 6 years ago, because Danny has been playing this game for 10 years. That's what you're up against. Good luck.
Nice.
And I would like to see NA win a Worlds Championship before I die.
I want Kenvi to sign for EG. He's not going to overtake Closer. He's 18 years old. I would love to see him come in to this EG team.
That could be cool.
Would be good. Do you guys have any last words you want to get out about LCS, LEC, or are we good to go?
So I was just like building lineups right now, and I did want to point out. So what I have basically is like 100 Thieves mixed with every dog besides Golden Guardians, Evil Geniuses mixed with every dog besides Golden Guardians, and then a little bit of like Immortals FlyQuest for the for the very, very contrarian play. And I actually I really like this construction. It doesn't mean that like one of the dogs has to win, and I'm going to be very sad if we get past the TL-CLG game and all the favorites won. But I think that this has quite a bit of upside, and you only need one of the dogs to win, and obviously you need my favorites to win as well.
Do you echo any of that, Michael? Will a dog win? Does one of them have to win on Friday?
No, but I think that there are a few. There are two good spots in North America for an underdog. I think that like not only would they be low owned, but they have high upside. The LEC, I think less so. I think there's only really the Vitality spot that I'd be interested in. Like if the XL narrative gets there, then I'll be sad. But for the most part, I think now is the part of the season where if you truly believe that you have opinions about the different rosters and their talent level, that this is where everything should really start leveling off. So we've had a lot of the volatility already. Just hold on to your opinions. If it continues to go in this direction, then obviously there will be a time to correct in the future, but now is not the time.
Good way to end the show. I want to thank everyone for watching today. If you enjoyed the free video, be sure to like and give a subscribe to the Esports Department YouTube channel. Also want to thank Michael and Alan for joining me today. You can find Michael at League of Items and Alan at Heffelda, HEFFELDAA. You can also find me on Twitter at XGhostWriter90. Also, don't forget you can get 10% off a subscription and get all those projections we talked about today. Both of our videos for Saturday and Sunday. Just use the code IEDGE for 10% off. Thanks for watching, and let's go make some money.
See ya.